Hey Eleanor, how's it going? Happy holidays, by the way. Thanksgiving is over, but Christmas is now just around the corner. So, anyways, yeah, just want to show you this training video. I know we've had a lot of calculate offer price programs in the past, and yes, this is another one. But fortunately for you, it's pretty similar to the ones you've used in the past. We're just still making tweaks and deciding which system we want to use, whether we want to go with the information provided to us on Zillow or the information provided to us on Redfin. And so we're still kind of tweaking the program a little bit, but yeah, luckily for you, it's pretty similar to the programs you've used in the past. So anyways, this time, instead of Redfin, we are actually going back to using Zillow. I don't know if you remember the first version of this program utilized Zillow to get our data, and so we're going back to Zillow again, except we're doing it a little bit slightly differently. We made some changes to the program. What you're familiar with is you see these tabs at the bottom. Redfin is actually the one you're familiar with, so as you can look at this, this is kind of what you've seen before. But this is the old program. What you're going to be using is the one that says Zillow data right here. And so just like the Redfin spreadsheet, you will have to send the export records from Investment Dominator all the way to this program. So this export records tab is still here. So if you click that, this is the imported information from Investment Dominator. So if you remember, if you go here and then you export the data, you just put that data in here, just like you would do with the program you used before. Okay, so that's the first step. Okay, that's always number one step, just so you have the new refreshed data in the spreadsheet. Okay, so going back to Zillow data. Okay, so first off, don't mind this stuff on the side. This is kind of stuff from the previous calculations we were doing when we were trying out this program. So first thing you're going to want to do when you're on this page, if you see all this mumbo jumbo stuff on the side, just go ahead and click clear Zillow data. You'll see where the information comes from a little bit later as we go through this training video. So what we're going to be doing is we're still going to be getting Zillow data again. And the first step is to clear the Zillow data and then go to show Zillow comps worksheet. Okay, so if you click that, a lot of this is going to be similar to what you've used before. I think pretty much the whole top half or top third is going to be stuff you've seen before, as well as this box in the corner. I think this is the part that changed a little bit. So as you remember before, like for the Redfin spreadsheet, you would click load all parcels pending research or pending preliminary research. So you click that, it brings up the 0 to 19 records that are in the pending preliminary research status right now. Obviously that's not the case right now because you've done some work on Investment Dominator, so there's no longer 19 pending preliminary research parcels, but this is the latest that we have, and it's good to set up an example for how to show you how to use this program. So it's pretty much the same, load all parcels pending research, and then when you get to the point where you want to research stuff, then get next parcel pending research. So this will grab the first parcel. I'm going to show you the second parcel because this is a good one to show you. So let's say this is the parcel you're currently trying to analyze. It's in San Bernardino County. Remember to double check this, San Bernardino County. So this would be this APN number right here. So if you go back here, search by APN number. Oops. Search by APN number. Sorry, my internet's going a little bit slow right now, but that's okay. We'll make it through this. So yeah, County San Bernardino. I think I told you before to double check that just to make sure this program is correct. So yes, San Bernardino County. And here's the parcel lat longitude. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and copy this. So remember what I said earlier in a previous video was that there will always be a latitude longitude coordinate. There might not be an address right here. As you can see, this one's a blank, but what there always is going to be from now on should be a latitude longitude coordinate. So we're going to be going to a tool you're familiar with, which is Google Maps. So go ahead and copy and paste that coordinate right here, find where the property is located, and we're going to do a little bit of perusing as far as where this property is. So as you can see, it said back here that the property is in Phelan, California, so that's the city and that's the state. So this is Phelan area. And so as you can see, you can get a good feel for where it is geographically, by taking advantage of the street names or like the highways and stuff like that. So as you can see, there's a Highway 138 here, and then there's a freeway over here, which is the 15 freeway, as you can see right there. So you're looking for this location over on Zillow, because Zillow is where we're going to get our comps, and we need to find the same part of the map that we're looking at right now, but over on Zillow. Okay, so I have Zillow up right here, so we know it's in Phelan, California. Let's go ahead and look that up. And so remember, there's certain criteria that you want to narrow this down by. So first off, we're always looking for sold comps first. Okay, so what we're going to do is uncheck for sale, because these are the ones that are currently active and listed on Zillow for sale. And we're going to get rid of potential listings, and then we're going to be clicking recently sold. Okay, so because we're looking at sold. And by the way, Zillow by default kind of narrows down your search criteria to within Phelan, California, the city of Phelan. So as you can see, the blue lines right here are the outside of Phelan. So it won't find any properties outside of this blue border, and so that's not necessarily what we want. So you can click, as you can see right here, it says click to see all homes. So you click anywhere outside of the blue region, the blue circled region, and it'll get rid of that boundary. And so as you can see, more parcels pop up in every which direction. So, yeah, so like I said before, we're pinpointing where this property is, or at least a general area as far as where that property is over on Zillow. So you can see the 138, there's a 15 right there. Let's look for that over here. And as you can see, this is the 138 freeway right here, and the 15 should be on this side. Yeah, 15 freeway is right here. Okay, so you're looking for the area in between there. And let's see, what else can we use? We can use, so Phelan Road looks like a pretty big road, so we can look for Phelan Road. Oh, okay, it's right here. So Phelan Road is right here, okay, between the 138 and the 15 freeway. Yeah, Phelan Road, and then if you zoom in, we could see the name of whatever street it's on. So this is Wilson Ranch Road, okay? So if we go back here, if we zoom in enough, we should be able to find Wilson Ranch, oh, right here. So it's south of Phelan Road on Wilson Ranch Road, okay? So as you zoom out right here, there's Phelan Road. It's south on Wilson Ranch Road, so that's exactly where we're going to be looking. Yeah. So anyways, the property is somewhere around here. We just kind of matched it up from Google Maps all the way onto Zillow, just to see where it's located on Zillow. And so what you're going to be doing is we're going to be getting comparables this way. So as you can see, every single one of these dots on here, so you see these yellow dots, they symbolize sold comps, because that's the only type of comparables we're looking for is sold. So every one of these dots is a comparable. Okay, so it's a different piece of property that's been sold in the previous years. And so those are what we're going to be using as our comparable properties. So in other words, properties that we're going to be using to estimate the market value of our own parcel. Okay, so we know our parcel is around this area. So notice how this count changes. See, so there's 33 results. Obviously, if you zoom in more with your scroll wheel, there's going to be less results. If you zoom out, like way out here or something like that, there's going to be a lot more. So there's 50 results if you zoom out this far. Okay, so we're looking for something around, and this is not necessarily a number that's like set in stone, but in general, we're looking for a number that's around between 5 and 20 results right here. Okay. Because even if there was more than 20 results, I think there's only 20 results that can fit on this page. So the most you would be doing is 20. There would never really be a time where you would have to grab more than 20 comparables on Zillow. Okay, so we're going to look for a result that's between 5 and 20 or so. But if it goes over than 20, that's fine. You just get the results on the front page. Okay, so this is 32 results. This is probably a little bit more than we'd like, so let's zoom in a little bit again, and we're grabbing the same area, but in this case, we have 6 results right here. Okay, and 6 results is between, oops, see, it depends on where you drag the map around. Okay, so 11 results is pretty good. Okay, so we've kind of encompassed the area that is around the area that our parcel is that we're looking at. So we have 9 results right here. Hey, so this is Peter Young from the future, and so anyways, just wanted to make a comment on what I'm currently talking about right now about Zillow. So just wanted to say, the reason why we're kind of stretching in and out to stretching the map in and out to get a good amount of Zillow comparables. I know I said 5 to 20 comparables, but essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to get enough comparables to establish a market price for our parcel. But then again, we don't want to stretch the map out too far, otherwise it's going to be grabbing comparables that are far away from our parcel that we're researching. So if we're researching a parcel that's in this location and we don't want any comparables that are like 20 miles away. So just be careful when you're zooming out to get more comparables because, we don't want any comparables that are too far away. Otherwise, they might not be good comparables to calculate the market value for our parcel. Because if they're miles away, then more likely than not, the values of the properties several miles away are going to be different from the parcels that are close by to our parcel. Anyways, just wanted to let you know that that's essentially what we're doing. We're trying to get enough parcels for comparables while still maintaining a close distance to our the parcel that we're researching. So just use your judgment. This is one of those things where it's not black and white. You got to use your judgment as far as how far to zoom out. If you feel like it's too far out and then you still don't have too many comparables for the property, there's less than 5, even though you've zoomed out like a ton, then let us know. But that's probably not going to happen because we're picking areas that are pretty populated. So the areas that we're currently doing real estate investing in, they're pretty popular areas. So you shouldn't run into that problem too often. Anyways, that's all I want to say. So back to the video. And make sure not to forget to sort it by cheapest. I think by default sometimes it'll be selected under homes for you, but be sure to click cheapest so that way it'll sort it from cheapest to most expensive. Obviously 20,500 is the cheapest and it goes up and up and up and up and up in price as you scroll down. Okay, so these are the comparables we're going to be using, and so I know this is probably actually one more thing. On the program, okay, you're going to be seeing a minimum and maximum comparable size. So this is set to 2.04. A lot of times it'll be the same size as the parcel because we don't, especially for smaller parcels. If it's a smaller parcel, we're probably not going to go, we're probably not going to set the minimum acreage to anything less than that. If it's like a 10-acre parcel, then we might set the minimum to like 5 or something like that. So anyways, but the main point is that we're going to have minimum comparable size and maximum comparable sizes, and these numbers are what you would put right here. So I happen to already put this in here, but what you would do is, let's say the default is lot size 200 plus square feet. You would just click here and go all the way down to, sorry, my face is in the way, but it says custom size right there. Here, 1 second. Look, see? There we go. It says custom size down here, so that's what you would be clicking. Okay, so custom size, that'll give you access to this new bar right here, which allows you to type in your custom size. We're always doing acres. We're never doing square feet. Okay, so we're measuring properties in acres, so click acre right here, and then delete that, and we'll do 2.04 to maximum was 8. Okay, so we'll go ahead and type 8 in there. Okay, and everything should be fine. Sold in the last any days, and then click apply. Sorry, I should have done that before I actually looked for results, but okay, looks like the results are, okay, so now we have 8 results. Okay, so next what you're going to do is to get rid of this pop-up window, because you're going to want it gone for this step of the process, we're going to click hide Zillow sheet. So what that does is it kind of minimizes it so it's out of our way so we can deal with stuff over on this side, which you'll see in a second. So this is going to look a little bit ugly, this process, but what you're going to do is you're going to highlight all the way from the H in home, okay? So grab home right here, home, all the way down until you get to this line right here. So it says save the search to get email alerts when listings hit the market. So you're going to copy that whole thing right there, okay? So you're going to do Control C, or if you'd rather do it this way, just copy by right-clicking and then going back here and then pasting paste. Okay, So I know this looks pretty ugly, but it's going to look a little bit nicer in a second, because what you're going to do after you've pasted all the information over there is you're going to be clicking extract Zillow data, and so that gets rid of all these ugly pictures and just makes it more organized. So I clicked that just now. So as you can see, it only grabs the information that we're looking for, which is the sold price and um, the acreage and stuff like that. Okay, so once you've done that, you're gonna go ahead and click Show Zillow Comps Worksheet, so that'll bring the form that we just kind of minimized and bring it back up. So you click that, and so as you can see, something you didn't see before is these fields right here are now populated with data, because now that we've copied and pasted the data from Zillow over to the spreadsheet, once you open it back up, this data right here is already populated with the comparables. Okay. So just to fill you in on how the program picks these comparables, it actually picks the top 5, because you're probably wondering, oh, well, if there's 8 comparables, why does it only take 5 of them, and how does it know which comparables to take? It doesn't necessarily only take the cheapest priced comparables. What it does is it actually takes the properties with the cheapest price per acre, if that makes any sense. So basically, if you have if you have 2 parcels and one is 1 acre and one is 2 acres, the 2 acre one is worth let's say 40,000, and the 1 acre one is worth 35,000, then still the cheapest, even though the 1 acre property is cheaper by $5,000 than the 2 acre one, if you break it down into per acre, the 2 acre property is $20,000 per acre, because 2 acres, $20,000 each is 40,000, compared to the 1 acre property, which would be 1 acre equals 35,000. Anyway, so the reason why I brought that up was because it applies to what I'm going to be saying next, and the next step is to actually find each one of these parcels over on Zillow. And so the reason why we're doing that is because we're still going to be looking to see if each parcel has electricity or water going to it. And so as you can see, these check boxes are still there, so you can check the appropriate boxes depending on which utilities each parcel has. And so we're going to be going back to Zillow and clicking on the ads just to see which utilities they actually have. Okay, so yeah, so this parcel right here, for example, this is a $35,000 parcel. It's 5 acres and it's on Shasta Road in Phelan. Okay, so if we go back to Zillow and we scroll up, we're looking for that parcel. So it's 35. So it's not this one, because it is $35,000, but this one's 4.12 acres, and we're looking for the one that was 5 acres. So if you look over here, this one is a $35,000 parcel. It's 5 acres and it's on Shasta Road, just as we see right here, 35,000, 5 acres, Shasta Road. So this is the property we're looking for. Okay, so the reason why I went over that example with the 1 acre size parcel and the 2 acre size parcel is because naturally what you might be tempted to think would be that the parcels here are in the exact same order as they are over here, because why would we sort it by cheapest? So since we sorted it by cheapest, you might be tempted to think that we just grabbed them in the order, the first 5 cheapest properties, but that's not actually what we did. We actually went by a not cheapest basis, but a per acre the cheapest basis. So we're listing first the properties that have the cheapest price per acre. Okay, so I don't want you to get too confused with that. That's why I brought up that example. So don't be confused if these properties don't end up in the same order as they are up on here. They might end up like that sometimes, but not all the time. And this is an example of that. Okay, so first property is the $35,000 property, 5 acres, Shasta Road. We already found it was this one. So if you click that, we can figure out if it has utilities or not. First, look at the description. This home last sold, blah, blah, blah. So that doesn't tell us too much. So you go down here and be sure to click see more facts and features, because this a lot of times this is where they post the utilities. Yeah, so go ahead and click this and then it'll reveal more stuff. Okay, well, usually it reveals a lot more than that. But let's see down here if it says anything else. Okay, it doesn't say anything else. So yeah, a lot of times the utilities that the property has will be listed here, where it says see more facts and features, but in this case, it does not. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and assume that this property does not have any electricity or water, so we're going to leave that blank. Okay, so let's go to the second one. $35,000, 4.12 acres on Shasta Road 2. So that would be the first one that we're looking at, which is the one right here. Okay, so we'll click this. Okay, we scroll down. Let's see if it has any utilities. Okay, beautiful mountain and city lights. So nothing about utilities, but let's click see more facts and features. Okay, so this is what I'm more used to, seeing more details like this. Okay, 4.12, blah, blah, blah. Utilities, great solar potential, sun number. Okay, so basically what it's saying is that it does not have utilities. So as you can see, you know, what they're advertising right now is that it has great solar potential. So it has potential to put a solar panel on there. Which means that there's no electricity that's currently running to it right now. So that one we're going to not check the electricity or water because we didn't see anything mentioning water. Let's see if we could find another one. So 40,000, 4.85 acres, 11132 Campanula Road. That's what we're looking for. It's this one right here, $40,000, 4.85 on 1132 Campanula Road. Yep. Okay, so let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Property tax, see more facts and features. This one it says roof type material, utilities, water source C remarks. I'm guessing it means up here. Contains 4 bedrooms. Hang on. Vacant land home that contains, okay. So this is actually something I was going to be getting into a little bit later, but I guess I'll get into it right now. So they have one of one pictures. So it sounds like what this is a house. Okay, so obviously if it says it has bedrooms, yeah, and it says it's a home. It contains 4 bedrooms. Okay, so this is something I was going to get into a little bit later on, but apparently we're going to get into it right now. So every so often, like, people will incorrectly categorize their property, so it might have a house on it, but they'll label it as vacant land. So, oh, by the way, another thing I forgot in my search criteria, when you're searching for properties on Zillow, if you remember, you're supposed to be, I think by default, sometimes it checks all of these search results, but since the only thing we're interested in is vacant lots and land, just make sure to have only this one checked and none of these checked, because we're not interested in houses, we're not interested in apartments, we're only interested in land. Okay, so anyways, back to what I was saying before. So sometimes people miscategorize their property, and so even if the property has a house on it, they'll put it in vacant land for some reason. Maybe because they think their property has a lot of vacant land that's next to the house or something like that. But in any case, if you see any of these parcels that we're using as comparables, you know, any of these parcels right here, that, you know, you took a further in-depth look on Zillow and you found out that it's actually a house, it's not all vacant land, such as this one right here, which says it has 4 bedrooms. Notice how on the program you have a little delete button next to each record. Okay, so obviously this one right here is the one we just looked at, so this one has a house on it, so we're going to go ahead and delete that. And so what it's going to do is, remember there was 8 total results that we got from Zillow, and so when we delete this, what it's going to do is it's going to delete that record, but then it's going to shift everything up, so it's going to pull up a new record to fill comp 5's place. So we're going to go ahead and click delete right here. Okay, so everything's shifted up right now. Okay, so that one's gone because we found out it's a house. And so be sure to look out for that. If you see something that looks like a house, then just delete it, because we don't want to take any chances on getting comparables that are houses and not actually land. Okay, so the next one is 42,000. Actually, you know what? Let me just stop it right here, and I'll show you one that actually has utilities that you can mark down in here. Okay, so we are back. This one is just something I wanted to show you just as a good example. So this is one of the parcels that we had as a comparable. You know, it's just a piece of land, but it says there was once a manufactured home that has now been removed, so there's no home anymore, so it's now a vacant lot. And it says buyer to verify utilities, water meter, and if prior septic system is usable. They're basically saying that, um, I guess they're not disclosing whether it actually has water and electricity and stuff like that, but and they're saying that the buyer, whoever buys this property, should verify whether it does have the utilities um, that should be there if there was a house there. So, given that for a situation like this, since there was a manufactured home that was on that lot, I'm just gonna go ahead and give it the benefit of the doubt and just go ahead and click electricity and water, because there's no house right now because they took it out of the property, or took it away from the property. But given that they tried to put a house there in the first place, I'm just going to assume that there is electricity and water there. Okay. Okay, so when we get to comparable number 4, which is $75,000, 4.48 acres, and on 4648 Rancho Road, going back to Zillow, that's this one right here. Okay, so this one, if you click on it, you might want to inspect this one anyways, because you see a gate right here, and you're saying, well, if it has a gate, I wonder if there's a house on the property. So you can go ahead and click this, and just take a look at the pictures, see if there's actually a house on there. And so just looking at more of these pictures by clicking this right arrow right here, it doesn't look like there's a house. I think it's pretty safe to say that this is just a vacant lot. It's just a vacant lot that has a gate going to it and a road. So 4.4 acres of land with water and electricity on the property, great views, blah, 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 blah. So this is an example of a property that does have water and electricity. It just so happens they said it in the description, but if you go down here and click see more facts and features, they'll list stuff like that on here too. As far as electricity, they don't say that there's electricity available, but let's say they didn't mention anything about the water up here. Like, let's say they said, beautiful views, and that's all they said. They didn't mention anything about water. You can go ahead and click that expanded view and then see that there is water, and the water is provided by the public water system. So in this case, let's say it didn't say it had electricity or water, and you just went down here and you saw that this said water public, then you would just go back here and say, okay, so this property does have water, and not check electric. But since in this case, they actually said water and electricity is on the property, then you would just go here and click both of them. So anyways, just wanted to get you that that one example where they showed utilities that were mentioned in the property description. And then as far as everything else goes, I think pretty much the rest of the process. Power available, water available, and so as I mentioned to you before, just as a shortcut, you don't have to necessarily call the water companies and electricity companies anymore, because we figured, it seems like that would take too much time. So that's why we opted out of that and decided to give you some shortcuts that I sent you before on how to find whether power and water is available. So click the appropriate things right here, and then whatever. I'm just gonna click random things right now, and then whatever the interest is based on the comments and stuff like that. Everything is pretty much the same as what you've seen before. But that's pretty much all the new stuff, and then get offer amount is the same, and it'll actually don't worry about this side for now. This is this right side right here is to help us, the calculate mean, assessed value, and percent of average price. Not sure if we're going to take that part out, but even if it's still there when you start using the program, just neglect this part on these three things on the right side. So only focus on offer amount, acceptance deadline, and estimated closing date. This is just for us to look at for reference. So anyways, if you see this, yeah, just look at the left side. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for how the new calculate offer program works. So we went back to Zillow, and sorry there's so many versions of this, but we're getting closer and closer and closer to a final product that we want to use. We just want to be able to make sure the calculating offers part was automated, and the prices that were outputted as far as what price we're offering is close to something that we would get if we were to manually research these ourselves, because we want to make it as automated as we can and simple enough for you to use. So anyways, that's pretty much it, and before this video gets too long, I'm just going to stop right now. Okay, so there's one thing I did forget to mention. I apologize, but anyways, let's say you are working on zooming in and out of this map, but you've determined that, like, hey, I have the map stretched out so far away from the parcel that you know, you're running into parcels that are very far away from the one you're researching, as I mentioned earlier. And let's say you zoom in like too far, and so now like the results have dwindled down to two results right here. So it's like, oh man, these are the only two results I get. But then again, those are within reasonable range to be considered a comparable for the property you're researching. Well, usually if the count, like the number up here, the number of results up here is too little, what Zillow will do automatically by default is it'll include another subsection right here that says similar results nearby. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use these. Let's say you have too few results. Let's say their number of results is like two. I think starting at like 4 or 5 results and above is when they get rid of this section right here. But if it's anything under like 4 or 5, then this similar results nearby subsection will appear. And so you're going to be, when you're highlighting this, it's pretty much going to be the same thing. You're going to be starting at the beginning of homes for you, all the way down to the same section where it says save this search to get email alerts when this listing hits the market. So for example, if you see this, you're going to highlight everything like this, all the way down to market right here. And then this is what you're going to be copying and pasting into here, right here. Okay. That, and then remember, extract Zillow data. So yeah, so anyways, we just wanted to mention that. So if you see that section and you're confused why it says similar results nearby, just wanted to let you know that you can still highlight all of that through and use those data. But more likely than not, you'll probably almost never run into that scenario. Only if you have too few results and you feel like if you zoom out anymore, then it would be kind of pointless to get comparables because the comparables in the map are just way too far away. So that's just the rare case that you don't have enough comparables. Then Zillow automatically, by default, adds the similar results nearby section. So anyways, okay, so apparently we weren't done with all the changes we want to make this video, so I did go over with my dad a few more things we want to add to this video. Obviously, as you can see, it's a different day, it's a new location, different clothes and everything. So anyways, hopefully this doesn't take more than a few minutes. Starting with topic number 1, which is we are declining all parcels greater than 40 acres. And so the reason why we're doing that is because we're finding out that our program has a hard time estimating market value when the properties are larger in acreage and larger in size. And the reason is because there's not too many parcels out here that are actually big parcels. And by big, we're not talking about medium size, we're talking about big. And so some of the offers that you made last time, and by the way, none of this is your fault, it's a fault with our programming, because since there's not that many comparables for large parcels, because hardly anyone has a property above 40 acres. And then we had some offer requests coming in that were for like 100 acres, 160 acres and stuff like that. And so that threw off the comps because the comparables, because since there's not that many large parcels in a given small area, the program actually had to go really far out to get some comparables, which, you know, those comparables that are far out, obviously the market value in that area far out is a lot different from the parcel that we're researching. So just to make things simple, we're just going to go ahead and tell you if you see a parcel that's above 40 acres, then just go ahead and decline it, because I don't think we've found a good way to program a program that determines market value for a large acre parcel. So go ahead and decline all parcels above 40 acres, okay? So second thing is actually an addition we made to the calculate offer program. And so here's the calculate offer program. So as you notice, it looks pretty much the same except this right here, okay? So this Zillow URL thing, I'll go ahead and show you how it works. Everything is pretty much the same. You know, you click show Zillow comps worksheet. You get the parcels, so you notice this is blank. You get them by clicking load all parcels and pending preliminary research. 0 of 19 is the same parcels that we're looking at earlier. And then same thing as get next and then get next. And so this is the parcel I was working on and showing you in this video earlier. So what I had previously told you to do was to find the parcel's location on Zillow. In order to find the parcel's location on Zillow, you would have to grab this latitude, longitude coordinate, put it in Google Maps, and then compare the Google Maps image with the Zillow image. And I told you to look for, cross streets and intersections and freeways and all that stuff and landmarks. And so we figured that might take a little bit too much time. We wanted to see if we could shorten that process and just make things a little bit easier for you. So we did, and we found out what we could do is we could actually just give you the Zillow URL that takes you to the Zillow page that has the location of the parcel already on the Zillow page that comes up. So let me show you what I'm talking about in case you're a little bit confused. So let's say you're working on this one, it's a 2.04 acre parcel and stuff like that. As soon as you hit hide Zillow sheet, what it's going to do is notice how this URL is going to change when I click hide Zillow sheet. So this is going to change right now. Okay, so at the end of this kind of changed a little bit, and the reason why it changed a little bit is because what you can do with this, once you've clicked the hide button, once you've clicked the hide Zillow sheet button, it populates this cell with the Zillow URL link that you're going to be using to see where the parcel is located on Zillow. So let's go to our Google Chrome, and if you just copy that link, I just copied it in the spreadsheet. I'm going to go ahead and paste it right here, and then click load. So as you can see, it took us to right here, and so yeah, so there's no more having to look it up on Google and then matching the maps up together to find out where this property is over on Zillow, because this way is obviously a lot shorter. We just found out that the GPS coordinates could be placed in the URL link right here, and so what my dad's program does is it puts the latitude longitude coordinates into the Zillow URL, so everything that you need is already preloaded into the URL. Also, what our program does is in this URL link that you just copied and pasted over into Zillow, it actually presets it, so it automatically defaults it to recently sold, so you shouldn't have to click that. It narrows it down to just lots and land, so you don't have to go ahead and you don't have to click through here and uncheck all these. It sorts it by cheapest, which is what you want already, and it already puts in the custom acreage size that we have preset. So notice this says 2.04 acres, and this says 8 acres. Okay, if we go back to our spreadsheet, that's exactly the range it says right here, 2.04 and 8. Let's say for another example, we go to the next parcel. So I'm going to click next parcel. Okay, so this is a 2.48 size 2.48 acre parcel, and so if we click hide Zillow sheet, notice this says 2.48 to 10, so that's our new range of parcels that we're looking for comparables in. So if I click hide Zillow sheet, this link down here is going to change. Boom, see the end of this change just now. If I go ahead and copy this cell, go back, I'll open up a new tab, paste that there. Wait for this to load, and notice how everything's already set, recently sold, lots and land, and this now should say, yeah, 2.48 to 10. Okay, so all that is pretty much automatically done for you, saves you a little bit of time. But maybe for the first few attempts, maybe you could check just to make sure the program's working correctly. Just check this, make sure the bottom one is the only one checked. Check this, make sure lots and land are checked, and then check this, make sure these are set correctly. Just for the first few, this is kind of a new process for us, so we want to make sure everything is working correctly. Okay, so, but the part that would save you the most time is that this URL takes you to the location of the parcel. So this right here is where the parcel is actually located. Okay, but let's go back to our original example over here. Oh, okay, turns out these parcels are right next to each other. Because I see Woodcliff Street, and on here I also see Woodcliff Street right there. Okay, so let's go back to our original examples. This is the first parcel we pulled up. Let's go back to, actually, you know what? Let's use this one right here. Okay, we'll use the 2.48 acres. So let me start this over again. So this, hide Zillow sheet, copy and paste this, go back here, put it in the URL, have that load up. Okay, but now that being said, Now you know you don't have to compare Google Maps with Zillow, at least the map side of it. But you will still have to use Google Maps because you want to figure out if the parcel has electricity or water. So when you open this up, it's these sections right here. So remember our little shortcuts that I gave you to determine if a parcel has power or water available to it based on proximity to neighboring houses and stuff like that, and if there's power lines going next to the parcel. Um, so based on those shortcuts, you can go ahead and just look those up on Google. And so grabbing the latitude longitude coordinates right here, which by the way, even if you hide the Zillow sheet, the latitude longitude coordinates are going to be displayed down here as well. You can grab either one. I'm just going to go grab the one from the form, put it in here. So as you can see, just to get a better visual representation, if we do a satellite view, okay, so this is where the parcel is located at, which is where on Zillow, that's what's pulled up. So as you can notice this, if you can notice this little L-shaped road with this little green tree in the middle of it. I don't know if you can see that, but there's an L-shaped road right here. You can see that also on Google Maps. It's the same section of the map. And so the reason why you would want to use Google Maps is to have a better indication of which parcel you're actually looking at. So notice on Zillow, there's no little pinpoint to show you exactly where the parcel is. So even if this loads up on Zillow, you might be wondering, well, is this one the parcel or is this one the parcel? You know, there's parcel boundary lines, but you don't actually know which parcel is the parcel you're actually looking at. So just to get rid of that confusion, we would like to tell you to just use Google Maps to determine which parcel is the parcel we're looking at, so you can determine whether it has utilities. So going back to your Google Maps, obviously you won't see the boundaries over on satellite view, but if you go back to map view, that is where you can see the fine lines. I don't know if you can see, there's some thin gray lines that outline the borders of each parcel, which should line up pretty much exactly like these. You know, you can see these 3 parcels down here, as well as these 2 bigger parcels up here. You know, these are the 2 bigger parcels up here. These are the 3 down here. Okay, so Google Maps will give you a pinpoint, and so whatever property the pinpoint is in the middle of, that's the parcel we're researching. Now on Google Map is where you can go ahead and click satellite view, see if there's houses within whatever range we told you to look up parcels in, to determine water and electricity. Google Maps is where you can look to see if there's power lines on nearby roads and stuff like that, or if there's houses adjacent to the parcel or next to the parcel or near the parcel. So that's what Google Maps is for. So it still saves you time, because then you don't have to match up the Google map with the Zillow map to find the parcel in the first place. The URL that is preloaded in the program will just take you directly to the parcel's location. And from here, it's pretty much the same process where you just zoom out until you get enough comparables and stuff like that to be able to establish a market value for the parcel. Okay. That's the second thing. Blah blah blah. Use Google Maps to figure out which utilities are available. Yes. Click Get Zillow. Okay. So Get Zillow Comps. That's actually a button on this form right here. So if you open this up right here, remember how earlier in the video I had all the data from the nearby houses and stuff like that, or nearby pieces of land, not houses, pieces of land. We had them over here, and so I think in the previous example, when I clicked this, those comparables automatically were populated into this these fields right here. But that's how it's supposed to work, although it doesn't work all the time. And so if you notice that, you know, you've copied and pasted your Zillow data and pasted it over here, and you go over here and it doesn't already automatically populate these fields, just go ahead and click Get Zillow Comps right here. And so once you do that, obviously it says no Zillow data to work on because we didn't work on anything over here. But yeah, if you notice that all this data over here on the spreadsheet wasn't transferred onto the form, as soon as you open up the form, just click Get Zillow Comps, and that should load everything that's on the spreadsheet onto these fields right here. Okay, so that's the third thing. Fourth and last thing is just something I wanted to remind you about, is to not to forget to check the dates that are on the sale agreement. So basically, there's 3 dates you need to check, more like 2 dates, but I threw in the third date, which is the current date. Anyways, I'll explain these one by one. So these 2 dates, these are the offer option accept by dates and offer option expires on dates. So if you go back to um, investment dominator here, this is just a random property I pulled up just to give you an example. So if you scroll down here, you're very familiar by now with these fields right here. This is where the offer price goes in, as well as those 2 dates that you input from the program. And so these dates, basically, if you look at the sale agreement, these 2 dates go on the sale agreement. So one of those dates goes right here, the other date goes right here, and basically what these dates are they're pretty much expiration dates. So this would be the date, for example, this would be the date that the person would have to receive our sale agreement in the mail. Then they would have to sign it down here, their seller signature down here, and then they would have to return it to us in the mail by this date right here. Okay, so what that means is that these dates have to be current. So notice this is the sale agreement you sent me on the last batch of offers you sent to me and Shirley. So this one says this sale agreement expires on September 27th, 2017. Well, because of the fact that you've set these amounts so long ago, and a lot of this is because of our fault, because we've been tweaking things and working around things, and things have been a lot really delayed, and so that's pretty much on our end. So you don't have to, yeah, don't worry about that. But the reason why I wanted to point it out is because the dates are important, because if this expires before the time that they actually receive it in the mail, then it'll already be expired by the time they get it, which is no good, because then they wouldn't be able to get it back to us on time before it expires. So anyways, so the reason why I wanted to share this with you is because, this is a good reminder for you. Once you're done calculating the offers and stuff like that, you pretty much do them all at once. You fill in these fields right here. Right after you do that is a good time to send it to Shirley, because these dates that you've just put in there after you made the offers are fresh, and so these dates are good to go, because usually the date we set for the offer option accept by is only like 2 weeks after the mailing date. So let's say you just set these prices immediately right after you send it to Shirley. Shirley mails them out, and so from that day on is the seller usually has about 2 weeks or so to get that sale agreement signed and get it back to us. So it's a good rule of thumb to follow is, right after you're done with the offers and setting these dates, just send it immediately to Shirley. I know that's not how things have been lately, because we've been making a lot of changes on things and stuff like that, and telling you to hold off on all that stuff for a while. But just for future reference, because we're planning to get this more streamlined and smooth, and we're planning on sending out letters and getting offer requests in on a weekly basis. So all this stuff should be cyclical on a weekly basis. So once you're done making the offers and the offer prices and setting the dates, just send it off to Shirley right after that, so none of these dates expire before the person actually receives it in the mail. But just in the case, for example, in this case, I know you made a lot of these offers. In the last batch of offers you sent me, you made some of those offers a while ago, back in September and stuff like that. As you notice, this is one of the sale agreements for one of the offers you made. This expired in September. I think the date, I forgot the exact date you sent me the offers by email, but I think it was just, like a couple weeks ago or something like that. But these offers are offers you actually calculated and set dates for back in September, so that's why this has an expiration date of September, and so by the time the person got in the mail, it'd be already expired. So in the case that happens again, where we tell you like, hey Eleanor, can you hold off on mailing these offers out or something like that, before you send the offer printouts to Shirley so she can print them out. Just go through and generally the offer option accept by, like I said, we give them 2 weeks to get the document signed and then back to us. So take the current date. So let's say today's the 8th. So if you're sending this to Shirley on the 8th, give the person about 2 weeks. So not the 15th, but the 22nd. That's how you do the offer option accept by. So yeah, if you made this offer a long time ago, just take the current date and then add 2 weeks to it, so 14 days. Offer option expires on, that's going to be a little bit different. So that one you're going to set 4 months ahead of the current date. So the current date is December 8th. So this one you would do December, January, February, March, April, and then instead of December 8th, it would be April 8th, which is 4 months after today's date. So hopefully that makes sense. You can ask me questions if you don't understand that too well. So, but this is in the case that schedule has been pushed back a little bit, and the date you made the date you calculated the offers was a long time ago before the date that you're actually sending these offers to Shirley so she can print them out. So going back to our reference sheet, that's what I put right here. Offer option accept date is typically you set it to 14 days after the mailing date. Offer option expires on is 4 months after mailing date. So you can go ahead and just replace mailing date with the current date or whatever. I use current date, so you can use the current date too. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to go over would be the current date, and I'll go over that just in a minute here. But just keep in mind that this this part right here is not nearly as important as these two right here. Okay, so these two right here are the most important things to get correct. This is kind of this is kind of a side thing I just decided to throw in because it's a good thing to keep in mind. Notice how on all of our sale agreement as well as our cover letter, okay, so on both the sale agreement and the cover letter, the current date is written on both documents. On the sale agreement, it's written twice. It's written right here. That's the current date, as well as the date right here, down here. And then also on the cover letter, the current date is right here, November 19th, okay? So with that in mind, the reason, the way in which the current date is put on these Word documents is every time you go to Investment Dominator and you're generating a document, as soon as you click these buttons and it generates the document for you to export and download, it stamps the current date onto those documents. So just know as soon as you click these, the current date is already put onto the document by the time you download it onto your computer. So with that in mind, it's just a good thing to keep in mind that right after you've downloaded these documents to send them to Shirley right away, because and this is just a small factor, but you know, if someone receives, you know, a sale agreement, if someone received a sale agreement in the mail, and let's say it's like, you know, today is December 8th, but they receive something in the mail that says, oh, this was signed on November 19th. That was a long time ago. Actually, that's not too long ago. But let's say it says like September 19th or something like that. Then they would say, wow, that was already like a month and a half ago. Like, that was a long time. Same thing with this up here, the date up here. It's supposed to show the current date, but the current date would have been set to, you know, a date a long time ago or something like that. So we just try and keep this as close to the mailing date as possible. I mean, obviously you can't determine how fast Shirley is going to take to mail out these documents, but what you can control is how fast you email these documents to Shirley after you've hit the generate documents links right here. So after you click this, the current date is set in stone. So send it to Shirley as soon as you can right after that, because we don't want the current date to be too far from the date that the seller receives this sale agreement in the mail. So anyways, that's the last thing I wanted to touch on, but like I said, these first two things are far more important than this current date issue down here. Okay, so notice that I've included a fifth topic to talk about. This is something I almost forgot to mention, but it's also important too, is to always use Zillow on Google Chrome when using calculate offer price spreadsheet. So if you remember the step of the process where you copy and paste all the data from Zillow and put them on the spreadsheet over here. So for instance, there's properties on the side, and you copied and pasted this whole section over here, and pasted it over here. What we noticed was that if you were to use another browser, like for instance Firefox or Internet Explorer, if you were to copy and paste the information over to the spreadsheets using one of those other browsers, it would actually mess up our program. There'd be extra spacings whenever you after you clicked extract Zillow data, the spacing of the data over here wouldn't be in the right spots, so the spreadsheet program didn't quite work at all. So yeah, so basically just always stick with Google Chrome when you're using Zillow. So whenever you get the Zillow URL link right here, and you're copying that and you're putting that into your browser, make sure to use Google Chrome. Otherwise, you'll probably run into problems, and the reason will probably be because you're using some other browser. So that's the last thing I wanted to say is just be sure you're using Google Chrome when opening up Zillow and using Zillow because it'll mess the program up if you don't. So anyways, I think that's about it. Hopefully there's not any more. If there's any more, I will add it to the end of this video, but hopefully there's not. So I think that's about it for now. So thanks a lot and take care.